Rudy Giuliani keeps making news as he defends the president, but often not in ways he might have intended, leading to a war of words between Rudy and Stormy Daniels' inescapable lawyer, Michael Avenatti.
I'm sorry, I don't respect a porn star the way I respect a career woman or a woman of substance or a woman who has great respect for herself as a woman and as a person and isn't going to sell her body for sexual exploitation.
And yet somehow Rudy Giuliani thinks that my client isn't entitled to be believed because she was in the adult industry. It's disgusting, and this guy's an absolute pig.
Wow. Joining us now in San Francisco, Emily Jashinsky, commentary writer for the Washington Examiner, and here in D.C., Philippe Reines, the former State Department official and Hillary Clinton advisor. Emily, Rudy and Avenatti going at it about who's a pig and what's the value of a porn star. I'm thinking this has gone totally off the rails. It's like a middle school spitball contest, and television in particular just eating it up.
Yeah, television in particular, you're right. It's astounding to me that the morning that this was all playing out, it was a crowded news cycle. It's astounding to me that some networks found so much time to cover this. To be fair, one of the comments Giuliani made about, just look at Stormy Daniels was pretty disgusting, and to hear it from the president's personal lawyer is a little jarring. So I understand why there was kind of an immediate reflex, like, wow, I can't believe we just heard that from the president's lawyer. But at the same time, it's a very crowded news cycle, and there was a really telling exchange between Mika Brzezinski and Claire McCaskill on Morning Joe. Mika Brzezinski was trying to get Claire McCaskill to react to it, and she's saying, listen, this is not what I'm hearing from voters in Missouri.
Yeah, not exactly
so
a kitchen table issue, but Philippe, Giuliani
right.
He succeeded at driving the media coverage when he was mayor, when I covered him as U.S. attorney, and now he constantly seems to be creating these brush fires that then he has to stamp out.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think Emily hit a good point, is that Giuliani is the president's legal spokesperson. Avenatti is Stormy Weathers, Stephanie Clifford, Stormy Daniels' legal spokesperson. It makes sense that when they go at each other, that it's going to be newsworthy. And, I don't remember what else is going on that day, but yes, it got a fair amount. But Rudy is, I think, like you said, looking at his history, and I was a New Yorker for his 2 terms, actually voted for him 3 times, including his losing election for mayor. He's looking for it, and he's getting it. And, it's to the point where the coverage isn't just what he's saying. You have the Secretary of State having to say Rudy doesn't speak for foreign policy. The president
saying... This was when Giuliani said that Kim Jong-un was on his hands and knees begging for a summit, and that was not appreciated State Department. Let me go back to Emily. So many women, some men, saying they're offended the president's lawyer would make pronouncements about a woman's profession. And then some are even saying, well, look at Melania. She did some racy photo shoots as a model. Avenatti comes back and says he's asking people on Twitter to provide him with proof that Rudy Giuliani watches porn. I mean, seriously? I understand we have to cover this given who they are, but seriously?
Yeah, this brings me back kind of to your original point, which is that when you peel back the layers on this story, you have to think about what the relevance is of it in the national news cycle, right? Like, what is this really telling us that Michael Avenatti, whose credibility is winning, is trying to wage this war that just keeps him in the press with Rudy Giuliani, who's also waging his little media strategy? And so when we peel back all the layers and we get to what the heart of it is, I'm not sure that there was a lot of relevance for viewers. And I think it's just seen as 2 compelling characters in this circus, and that's why the media is so attracted to it. But I think they're both losing sympathy with the American people.
It's a circus-like atmosphere. Let me play one more bite from Rudy Giuliani here. He brings in the president's wife as he talks about Stormy Daniels.
She believes in her husband. She knows it's untrue. I don't even think there's a slight suspicion that it's true. Look at his 3 wives, right? Beautiful women, classy women, women of great substance. Stormy Daniels.
And that prompted the First Lady spokeswoman to say that Rudy has never discussed anything with Melania, kind of a wrist slap.
Yeah, I mean, more than a wrist slap, more like a cross-the-face, sucker punch. But I think, there are 2 things here. First, you have to remember the reason we're talking about porn stars is because Donald Trump had an affair with one while he was married to Melania.
Which she denies for the record.
Denies, but I think at this point, it's pretty clear that there's a reason why it's on television. It's not just because Avenatti and Giuliani are colorful people.
Who like cameras.
But the second part is, Melania did strike him down. Pompeo, like I said, had to strike him down. The president said, Rudy is Rudy. I mean, it's not a media fixation as much as Rudy is just lashing out. And he's being criticized from all sides, including from his boss.
So since we're talking about Melania Trump, of course, she reemerged in the public eye 3 weeks after having that kidney surgery. She was at a FEMA event with her husband. And let me put up the president's tweet. One of them, the fake news media, have been so unfair and vicious to my wife, our great First Lady. During her recovery from surgery, they reported everything from near death to facelift to left the White House and me for New York or Virginia to abuse, all fake. She's doing really well. So, Emily, doesn't the president have a point here? Politico had a headline about conspiracy theories, NBC, why Melania's Vanishing Act matters. Became kind of an obsession.
Yeah, it was a huge thing, and I would say his tweet is really, I get the sentiments of it, but he shouldn't have used the word report, because I didn't see a lot of people reporting, Melania Trump definitely had a facelift, or sources say Melania Trump is in Virginia. So I think semantics maybe, but at the same time, like what some people in the press did this week was really disgusting. It's one thing for conspiracy theorists on Twitter to fling these things into the ether, but for members of the media to speculate about domestic violence, to implicate the president in spousal abuse, is just stunning. And so it's just goes to show how Trump drives people to the point of they're acting so unreasonable and treating the president ways they never would anybody else, whether they're Republican or Democrat.
The president also tweeting about how Melania was spotted by 4 reporters, but they didn't really report that because it would hurt the sick narrative. It's almost like the press says none of this counts, because she was reported to be having meetings in the East Wing, unless she does what we want and appears before the cameras.
No, I don't think that's what it is. First, I think we should give everybody the benefit of the doubt here. She's the First Lady of the United States. Mm-hmm. She had a health issue. I do think there's legitimate concern about her well-being. Okay.
Right. Okay.
Next, the president, the conspirator-in-chief, cannot wake up one day and say, I'm upset about conspiracy theories against my family, when he spends every day, all day, throwing that at others.
But Philippe, both things can be true.
They can.
You may say things that you don't like, that you think are conspiratorial, and the press may go too far speculating about the First Lady who's recovering from surgery.
Well, but what's interesting is that the president, when he came out on Friday, said she's doing great. She just can't travel for a month.
Yeah.
He said the very thing that, had they said weeks earlier, would have avoided this entire segment.